Good afternoon, Brian. This is John. I'm just starting to look at producing a video to show you some of the features of BaseCamp. And first of all, we're going to have a quick tour of the various sections. Up at the top here we've got a menu bar. Now you've got to remember that I'm using a PC, and some of the operations that I do, like a right click, you might have to do in a different way, and unfortunately I can't help there because I've never used an Apple. But you can configure the menu, and this particular group of icons here could be quite useful, and when I installed it on my machine they weren't there. On PCs, if you right click on the menu, you can get let me do that again because the list appeared off screen. You can get a list of the features that are available, and for example, if I turn off map tools, if you look up at this area here, then the map tools have disappeared, and I put them back again. In fact, it was those there. So if you don't have some of the icons that I'm referring to, then somehow you've got to do the equivalent of a right click on the menu bar and tick the ones that you want to be visible. They are there somewhere. Over on the left hand side of the screen we've got different folders. I don't use, that's a lie, I do use the trip folder. I have used it, but I find it really cumbersome. I find this method a lot easier. For a start, the trip, I don't know what the flipping thing is called. Whenever I set up a trip like you have done with various dates set up, it takes it forever to load up. What I've done is, in my main database folder, I've called mine local trips, yours will be something else. I have created a new list, or a new list folder. Brian's BaseCamp Problems is a new list folder, and Ride Great Rides is a list folder, and inside Brian's BaseCamp Problems I have created a list in which I'm going to store stuff, and I'm going to create one now, a new list, and I'm going to call it Video Demo, and the things that I'm going to do while I'm doing the video, I shall try to make sure that they go into Video Demo. In local trips, if I click on that, I have got everything that is in the database, all unorganized. Well, that's not quite true. There's custom routes. That little icon there means it's a custom route. That little icon there means it's a motorcycle route. That little icon there means it's a hiking route. These are key points, points along the route, and that is where our motorcycle club, Northern Pan Riders, has its once a month get together. By putting certain things into Leg 1 Germany, we can just see a selection of those. They're identical to what's in the database. They're not copies, they are pointers to what's in the main database. That one there. Click on Test, I can see all of the routes and things that I've been playing around testing, trying to find out what happens when you change the routing profile, and in particular if you change information in a custom route, does it get changed if you change another one that's got a custom route? And the answer is no, it doesn't. And what I'm going to be doing is putting all of the stuff to do with what I'm talking about in Video Demo, or I'm going to try to remember to do that. What else do I need to talk about? Yes. Edit. Options. This is where you can set up your activity profile. If you want to have every single motorcycle route following the same profile, then you've got this list to choose from. Motorcycling and routing, those are the preferences that I have. Faster time I prefer to have always, because it's more predictable. And turn off unpaved roads, I don't like those, but I've got the others available. The route will go through those if I want. And feature type avoidances, you can see what they are. Everything's ticked except roundabouts, date and time closures, ferries and toll roads. Device transfer, that's these two things here. strip shaping points from the routes on transfer to the device. That means that any key points that you've put in to force a route upon along a particular path will be removed, which sounds extremely dangerous, and it is. You don't want that ticked. I know exactly what it does, but I'm not going to go into that at the moment. Always match route to the map on my device when transferring. If you have that ticked, no matter what you do, the route will recalculate the first thing that it does. You might not see it doing it. It does give a message, but it always gives a message, and usually the message is loading the route. But it might say calculating the route, and it'll disappear so quickly you don't know if it's loaded it or calculated it. And if it's calculated it, your route that you've prepared on BaseCamp will not be the same as the one that the Garmin receives, and the Garmin will calculate its own route using its own preferences, not what you've got set up in here. The sets of preferences in the Garmin and the sets of preferences in here have got no relationship with each other at all. You can question me about that later, but I'm pretty damn certain that that is the case. I just mentioned this because you can set up different databases, and I've got one called Local Trips. I've also got another one called 2016 Scotland for a trip that I'm planning up there in June, and yours is probably the default one, but at the moment I'm working with this one without interfering with my Scotland trip. It's a bit like having things in a separate file. Okay, close that down. And what else do we need to talk about in setting it up? Just on help, Garmin BaseCamp, it's version 4.5.2. We've done the hands at the top. I think, yes, we'll stop that now.